G'day, team. Emil Studham here from Performance by Design. With a big thank you to Tim and the team for letting us be involved with this great day that you've got going on. Sorry we couldn't be here in person. As you're watching this video, I'm currently in a workshop, actually conducting a real talk exercise with a leader, which will be fantastic. But wanted to say g'day and introduce us here at Performance by Design. We are a leadership development and high performance culture consultancy where our purpose is to help our clients take the chance out of their culture. But ultimately, it's about optimizing team performance. So Tim and I have known each other for many years. Our days go back when Tim used to play Aussie rules football for the Toronto Dingoes. And I had a year when I used to play a bit at the Dingoes, and I started another team in the league. And we've always just sort of kept in touch through our circles. And recently, over the last year or so, Tim and I have reconnected, and I've been lucky enough to work with this day, actually. It was a year ago on this day that I presented and ran a workshop that led me to meeting not only Tim and the team, but also Caroline Dabu, who I ended up working with and running some workshops with her, and Paul Lalonde and a few other people. So, Tim, I'll let you sort of fill in the gaps of how it all sort of played out a little bit. I'll add some color to that in today's video. But look, the purpose of today, as requested by Tim, was to give you a little bit of a backdrop on Performance by Design, who we are, what we do, how we've been working with BMO, and a bit of an insight into our pretty unique approach to building high-performing teams that are not only high-performing, but inclusive and healthy. We want to create an inclusive environment, and we want to have success in a healthy way. Our belief is that if we get success by being non-inclusive, in fact, being quite exclusive and doing it in a non-healthy way, that's the opposite of success. So now, our work started about 25 years ago in professional sport, where our work was so well known in Australia so quickly because underperforming teams became champions quite quickly. And one of my business partners, Paul Roos, was a champion player turned great coach and helped the Sydney Swans win a championship very quickly. And so at the press conference after the game, Roosie mentioned that this empowerment model that he was using at the Sydney Swans was the primary reason for their success. And so the original company, it was founded by our other business partner, Jared Murphy, blew up. And it blew up in the corporate sector because corporate sponsors said, hey, why did we finish 12th last year and win the championship this year? Can we have a bit of that? And so what we have found over 25 years in this game, the same principles and lessons can be transferred from the pro sport world into the corporate sector, where today 95% of what we do is actually in the corporate sector. So I'm going to share a couple of little insights here into some of our learnings from pro sport. So there's Roosie there holding up the 2005 Premiership Cup with the Sydney Swans. Roosie is a very well-known person in Australia in particular. He was a great player, as big a name as Wayne Gretzky. The only difference is that Roosie was a great player and a great coach. There's my little dig at the great one. But look, the lessons that we take from pro sport, number one, it's all about the team. Okay. Defense must communicate with the offense. And the work that we're doing with Tim and his team and Caroline and Paul Lalonde, even though we might even operate in certain scenarios as what we would see as an individual contributor, it's amazing when you get the right people in the room and have the right conversations, how much you can help each other be a better team. So defense must communicate with offense. Ops must, communicate with marketing and sales and everything in between. So understanding that breaking down silos in the modern world is extremely important. Identifying and developing talent. I remember one day here in North America at the Blue Jays game, would have been 10 years ago by now, and a player got traded in the third innings, and then that evening hit a home run for Pittsburgh. And I was like, wow, this is not Australia anymore. I share that because the way that we trade, the money that's in North America is very different to back home. Once you get your players back home, you must develop your players. You must identify talent and develop it, which is why at PBD, when we work with corporate teams, we spend a lot of time very intentionally building stronger professional relationships and literally practicing real talk being the skill and ability to give and receive feedback with the intent to improve, and because we care about each other and the team. The other part that we do a lot of work in is understanding individual differences, understanding the different personality profiles in the team and how we like to communicate extrovert, introvert, task focused, relationship oriented, and everything in between, and how that plays up in the context of team. And then the third part that I really find really rewarding in our work is sport reviews performance really well. And we want to bring that lens into the corporate sector, that results are one thing, but if you want to sustain high results, you must be looking at your business as a system. And as Ruzi here is saying, if we focus on our team behaviors, if we focus on our relationships, and if we focus on our process, the scoreboard will take care of itself. So really helping organizations understand that the results equals performance equals results plus behaviors, relationships, and process. And one thing that we really pride ourselves on as we work with organizations is really elevating that peer-to-peer accountability. When you think about pro sport, if you're playing the game and you have feedback for a teammate in the first period and you wait for the end of the game to give it, you'd be in strife for that. You've got to be able to give it. So how do you create a psychologically safe environment for the team to perform and have that real talk? And that is something that is built over time, much like a muscle. If we work it, it gets stronger. And the important part about any muscle is that if we don't work it, it doesn't stay the same strength. We look at culture very much, and I'm going to share a little slide on this actually. So I'm going to go back here again. So when we think of culture, we think of it as the core muscle, not the six-pack that's on the front, but the core muscles around the spine. When you have a strong set of core muscles, all physical activity becomes easier. Much like culture, the stronger the culture, all business activities, you're able to adapt and connect. You're able to move with the market. And we know that right now, the market's pretty volatile. There's a lot of interesting things going on. The future looks, well, pretty uncertain again. A strong culture makes it easy to do more business activities. Now, the important part about that and the metaphor that sticks, muscles do not stay the same strength if you do not work them. If you get them to a certain strength and then stop, they get weaker. Because of atrophy and age, they get weaker. So the smarter teams are ones focusing on their team behavior, their team relationships, and their team process as the mechanism to build a strong, high-performing organization. So the process that we work with any given team, and what we're doing with Tim at the moment, is we're building a psychologically safe environment for real talk to come to life. We focus on a few core pillars. And again, I'm going to repeat myself. Getting clear on who we are and what we stand for, okay? Excellence is coming through the energy of the team with Tim. And what's really a big part of our work is defining what excellence looks like in team behavior. So getting clear on who we are and what we stand for is the first step when we work with any organization. Making time to understand individual differences. We use various psychometric profile tools. You may even touch on that a little bit today, I'm not sure, but understanding who is extroverted, introverted, task and relationship focused, and everything in between helps us have more robust conversations, helps us communicate better and speak to each other's listening and build stronger professional relationships. We also get our clients and team members to share their story. We teach various ways to conduct stories and exercises that only strengthen relationships by practicing vulnerability in the right way. And what we're really known for, team, and what is the essence of all great teams, is the skill and ability to practice real talk. It is a skill, therefore we can practice it. And the great teams build a psychologically safe environment by catching the good, catching their teammates' effort, their behaviors and the process, and not just the result. And so over the last year or so, since Tim and I have reconnected, I've been lucky enough to work not only with the same group that you're in today, but we then did a kickoff day with Caroline and Tim and the team. Paul Lalonde, who now I understand has come up to Caroline's position. And again, Tim obviously will explain all that. But it's been wonderful because after the workshop days, we've integrated tools into the way that both Caroline's team and Paul's team, and now that's being flipped over into their day-to-day, so that we take the chance out of catching the good, and putting dollars in that trust bank. And we build that psychological safety. We build that trust to be able to bring real talk to life. And like I said before, it really is a muscle. Your culture is much like a muscle. And if you don't intentionally work that muscle, it will get weaker over time. And then it's much harder to get back to that same spot that you were. So being very intentional around how you behave, the strength of your relationships and working on them, and the process that brings it all to life is absolutely critical to building a high-performing team. And in the near future, well, we're currently working with the Blue Jays corporate leadership team, and we're working on some meetings with the Leafs at the moment as well, which is getting quite exciting. But most of our work in pro sport has been in Australia in the Aussie rules football world, amongst other sports. But we can't see why our work won't happen and occur with great impact over here as well. I think that's about everything. I've got my little notes here, Tim. I just want to say have a great day. I wish I could be there with you. I loved conducting the workshop last year. And Tim and team, Emily, Irina, Annie, Connor, please share anything that I've missed. But again, have a great day. And if you've got any questions about performance by design, please give us a buzz. Tim will pass on the details. Cheers for now.